Hi, my name is Kyle Gibson, and I work with the Beehive Design Collective. We're based out of Machias, Maine, and we make cartoons for use as political education tools. And this behind me here is a banner of a graphic that the collective produced in 2010 about mountaintop removal coal mining in Appalachia. It's called The True Cost of Coal. The Beehive Collective makes graphics based on research trips where we go to the communities that are most highly impacted by big issues that are often hard to talk about, issues like free trade and globalization and resource extraction. And we talk to the people who know about it best, and then translate those stories into images that then are hopefully useful ways to talk to people about what's happening in the world. So I was also part of a group that was arrested in Stamford, Connecticut in November of 2013 as part of an action targeting a bank, UBS, the United Bank of Switzerland, that's a funder of mountaintop removal. And so we brought this banner here to a party in New Haven, Connecticut as a fundraiser for the legal fund of Hands Off Appalachia, a group that specifically targets the funding of mountaintop removal, and right now has a campaign focused on UBS, the United Bank of Switzerland. So I want to give you just a little example of how this graphic works. So if you look at this scene right here, this scene is called The Dance of Hard Choices. And it's a kind of a depiction about how mountaintop removal is playing out in the communities, in the coal fields. And we got a chance to talk to a lot of people there about what's happening. And we represented the folks who live in Appalachia as the Cope's gray tree frog, because in the ecosystems of Appalachia, this really biodiverse ecosystem, and in ecosystems everywhere, amphibians are the first to get sick if something in the environment has become toxic, right? So we see it as a metaphor. The folks who live in Appalachia and who are directly downstream from these projects of mining, the strip mining projects of mountaintop removal, who are being poisoned by this process, are kind of the indicator species for all of us living in society, just like frogs are the indicator species in the ecosystem. So here we have this miner frog who's in the dance of hard choices. He goes to work here to set a charge to blow up a mountain here in the background to mine for coal. But he's in a hard situation. He's kind of stuck between these two faces of coal, the gifts of coal right here, where he's got a paycheck hanging over his head. He's looking to earn some money to take care of his family, have some health care, have a place to live, some of these kind of basic necessities. But then on this other side is this dark face of coal with this snarling truck that's shining lights of surveillance on this scene of pollinator species who are speaking out. In this next scene, the miner frog leaves the job site and comes home and has a little back pain because even though this is highly mechanized work, it is still hard on the body, or maybe he's got some kidney pain from living in a toxic environment. And you see the tadpole son or daughter here is getting some water out of the tap and it's coming out black. That's because the process of mountaintop removal coal mining goes hand in hand with the process of washing coal to meet Clean Air Act standards and creating coal slurry, which is put in impoundments above communities in Appalachia. And the water, as a result, has been poisoned with heavy metals and other things that are causing people to experience birth defects and high rates of cancer. So you see here, this gardener frog here trying to earn some extra income for the family is working with these tomatoes, but they're coming up black because the soil and the air and the water are so toxic. She also has this little scar right here, which is a reference to Prenter, West Virginia, a town the Beehive Collective got to visit on its research trip, where a large percentage, over 90% of the adults in this small Appalachian community have had their gallbladders removed because the environment is so toxic. So in the next scene, the miner frog comes down here and is paying out of pocket for these pharmaceuticals because the company wants to keep a clean safety record, so encourages the miner not to report his injury. And he's buying some pharmaceuticals from this jackass doctor here, who we've represented as a donkey wearing a NASCAR-style jacket with all the endorsements of the pharmaceutical companies. As a result of a devastated economy and a toxic environment. Appalachia is flooded with prescription drugs, where in an economy where there's not a lot of other options, have become a big black market economy. And communities where everybody told me stories about how 50 years ago everybody would leave their doors unlocked and it was no big deal. Now people are afraid of their neighbors, because drugs have become such a force. And the tadpole son or daughter is sprouting some legs. So in this next scene, the miner is put his hard hat back on. He's only got a couple of pennies left, so he gets right back in the cycle. But the daughter here, she's scratching her head and says, "What do I do? Where do I go?" Is looking at this trail here, that has a lot of other footprints on it. A lot of people have taken the road to the bus stop and left Appalachia. This is a story of Exodus. This place that has its own culture, where people have lived for hundreds of years, have their own music, have their own food, have their own craft, are being pushed out of this place, right? Displacing people from the land that's given birth to that culture, right? And so, like many people, maybe she's considering this trip to the city to find some work or to raise her family in a place that's not toxic. But there's a third option between the cycle, the bus stop, but this lesser path here leading to this scene of resistance and all these animals, these pollinator animals speaking out. Folks in the coal fields were the first, of course, to raise awareness about what's happening there and telling folks outside that this process of mountaintop removal coal mining is poisoning people there and contributing to climate change worldwide, right? So people like me from the outside are taking cues from these folks in the mountains and stepping up to support these people. And so anybody who's watching this video, I'd encourage you all to see what you can do to get involved to support folks in Appalachia and worldwide to fight climate change and mountaintop removal. Thanks.
Yeah.